A commenter asked on YouTube if the topper is waterproof. I can't say it's 100% waterproof because it's an old truck, so there's gaps in the tailgate, few gaps in the door, but it's like 99.9%. We've been caught in a couple rainstorms and we're really happy with it. We slept with the top down in the rain, and we slept with it with the Rainfly on in the rain, and we're super happy with it. We might have got a few drops here near the tailgate, but other than that, that's all we have. So hope you enjoyed the video. We highlight some of the ways that we waterproofed it and some of the techniques and things that you'll want to order specifically when you're thinking about water penetration. So thanks again for watching. I wanted to give you a close-up view of how the topper seals to the top. You can see here that the topper seal falls down onto the thread strip, and then that causes or makes a nice waterproof seal. The nice thing about this extruded aluminum is you have 3 rails here, so you can move this thread strip where you need it to be so that it aligns with your topper. You can see here that the actual topper is a little longer than the truck. So what that allows to happen is it overhangs the bed. It overhangs the tailgate. The only disadvantage is you have to close the tailgate before you close the actual door. But I think it helps with water penetration, and it allows me, if you noticed, to put a thread strip underneath. If you notice on the rails that run the length of the truck, I used 2 thread strips to run the length of the bed that sits on top of the bed rail. And for the Gen 1, it works really nice because it almost gives me, well, it does give me a waterproof seal. So that's how I used the thread strips to do a watertight seal. We have a thread strip at the bottom that just helps waterproof it a little bit and seal it. One more thing to cover when we're talking about the rails that run the length of the truck. You can get these tapped on the ends so that you can put the end caps in with screws. That's one thing that I wish I would have done differently. I used the push-in caps and they work, but I really wish I would have had these pre-tapped so that I could put some screws in and hold those 1x3 caps in a little tighter. So one change that I would make, get these pre-tapped from the factory. The width of the cab, we use this rubber foam up under the 1x3 to help seal it. With this truck, we realized that the top of the bed, the rails, all 3 of the rails weren't perfectly even, so we had to use some of this foam to really kind of level everything out and make it waterproof. I'm now going to talk about one of my favorite parts of the build, and that's the acrylic or plexiglass and the aluminum that I used. The acrylic I really like. It is Optics Green Edge. It's 0.177 inches thick, or 4.5 millimeters. It's great because you can use a panel gasket on one side and you can caulk the other side. We use the panel gasket on the outside and it's working quite well. However, you can also switch it and put the panel gasket on the inside and then caulk the outside. 0.177 inches allows you to use the panel gasket on one side of the build. If you use 6 millimeters, then what happens is you can't fit a panel gasket in. So this aluminum piece that you're looking at here, you cannot fit a panel gasket. So I had to run a bead of caulk on the outside the whole way around. The other thing with this aluminum, it's very heavy. If I had to do it over again, I most likely would not use the aluminum. Yes, it's strong. It's almost bulletproof, but it's very heavy. The acrylic works nicely. You can get acrylic in different colors. Like I said, you definitely get the 0.177. You can also tint it like I did with the benches on the inside, but I used this optic screen the whole way around the camper, even on the door. If you go too small, if you get 0.1 inch, then you have to run panel gaskets on both sides of that acrylic. So I don't recommend using anything smaller than the 0.177 on the outside of the build. I'm going to give you a pro tip. If you do, or when you silicone the outside, you'll want to move these plates so that you can get the silicone into the corner. So you can loosen those screws up and move the plate out of the way. You can see here that we used rope cock. We tried to use silicone, which was a huge mistake. Huge mess, wasted a day. I do not recommend silicone. This rope cock is nice because it's almost like a silly putty where you can roll it into little balls and then push it into the slots. You can then make it so that it seals up where the extruded aluminum join each other, which that's pretty nice. It's not the greatest looking thing in the world. However, it does work nicely, and it does take a little time to go around the entire camper and fill in all the holes. But well worth it, and so glad we found it. We're going to wrap the waterproof video up. Sorry that was a hodgepodge video, but I pieced it together from other videos that we had. This is the cover that we use when it's parked in the driveway. We do not have a garage, so we think it's smart to keep a cover on the topper when we're not using it. We use this truck mainly for camping, so we take the cover off and leave it at home when we go camping. All it is a furniture cover, and it fits perfectly. Watch this.